Hey guys, welcome back to another Surgical Tech Tips. Today we are in the sterile processing department. And I'm going to kind of take you through the steps of a dirty tray, where the instruments are coming from, the washers they go through, the sterilization processes, and just kind of take you on a little tour around this department. So this is kind of where it starts. We're up in the OR right now, and at my hospital our OR is on the second floor. When we are done with our cases, we bring all of our dirty instruments and everything into this room. We have a pre-cleanse soak where we soak the instruments down, and then we put them on this elevator, this dirty elevator, and send it downstairs to sterile processing. Let's check that out. Now this is the other end of that elevator. It comes obviously from the dirty room upstairs, down this dirty elevator, into the decontamination room. In this decontamination room, as you can see, he's taking the instruments out, and he will go through the process of washing those instruments, and then they will go into our washers over here. So this is Mike over here. He's actually the sterile processing manager, and I'm going to have him kind of take us through washing this tray up. So you can see he's putting all of the pans inside the washer. Got all the instruments now, putting it in a separate container, opening all the instruments up. So none of the instruments are closed. When the instruments are closed, obviously nothing is going to get cleaned underneath the teeth and stuff like that. So you got to make sure all of those instruments are opened up. Right into that tub. The general rinsing of the instruments. Get all of that gross contamination off the instruments, and then just popping it in the washer. You can see the steam coming up. It's all warm water. Now you can see that Mike's wearing all sorts of stuff. They also have to wear PPE down here, and especially so because think of all the splashing that they, possibly receive when they're down here cleaning instruments. PPE is important. That's it. 30 minutes in this washer over here, and then it'll be ready to put the tray back together. Now our instruments are still being washed in the washer back there, but on the other side of this washer we have these tables set up, and basically as soon as those instruments are done in the washer, they come onto these tables, and this is where the techs down here rebuild the instrument trays. They basically grab an instrument count sheet. There's a big file cabinet full of instrument count sheets for every instrument tray that we have in this hospital, and they take their time and rebuild the tray to the exact count sheet. On each of these tables, they have a multitude of different tray filters, sterilization markers, and other just sterile markers for inside the trays. Bags for like forceps and knife handles that they put inside the trays as well. So you can see as Mike is building this tray, he's just going down the list of this count sheet, and he's basically checking off all of the serial numbers and matching them up with the serial numbers on the instruments. And these are a lot of fine instruments, so he's got these covers on the tips of the instruments so they don't bend, and obviously it's in this soft type of tray to reduce injury to these instruments. Count sheet goes into the sterilizer bag along with our indicator. Puts it up, and it's ready to go. Now, because this tray is in a plastic tray, it's not like a big metal container, it's not going to use filters or anything like that. So we basically lay a towel down, and then we have to wrap this tray in our, what do you call this type of wrap?
It's just 600 grade blue wrap.
600 grade blue wrap. No moisture will get in this wrap. Now obviously not all trays are going to be wrapped like this. This is specifically because this is like a plastic handheld tray. There's not a lot of instruments, so it's in a smaller tray. That he's using tape. This tape is actually a sterilization indicator as well. If you look at it now, there's no markings on it, but once it goes through the sterilizer, there's a whole bunch of lines on this tape that will actually turn a dark color, like almost black, to indicate that it's gone through a sterilization process. She's just writing down the name of the tray now. That's it. That tray is built and ready to be sterilized. Now you can see Mike, as soon as he was done with this instrument tray, he went ahead and put it on this rack. This cart, this cart itself is actually used to stack up all the instruments, and they all go in our big autoclaves back here. The autoclaves are basically, that's the big sterilization process for all of these instruments.
So this is a steam autoclave. What would happen, you'll see here in a little while, is it's a very big chamber.
You can feel the heat come off of it too as soon as he opens up that door.
The cart that I put that tray on will eventually go into here. And it'll close it, and it'll run roughly about an hour at 270 degrees. If you look at the display panel here, you've got all different types of cycles to run depending on what we're actually cooking.
Alright, so another form of sterilization, aside from the steam sterilization that we just went through, we have our Sterrads here. You can kind of explain the Sterrads, what they're used for.
Sterrads are used for delicate style instruments such as cameras, flexible scopes, some light cords. For an example right here, a Doppler probe.
Yeah.
Anything that's delicate that can't withstand
high heat
inside of the autoclave.
Okay. So just think delicate things.
Yes.
Cords, things with cords, scopes, cameras.
Some scopes are steamable.
Yeah.
They're autoclavable. It just depends on the brand and what style they are.
So we just turn this screen on and it says please insert new cassette. What exactly is the cassette?
This cassette is, it has, you can see all the different vials.
Yeah.
This is all hydrogen peroxide. That's what these machines run on.
That's what they all run on.
Yep.
That's their sterilization is hydrogen peroxide.
Hydrogen peroxide. So this is the cassette when it says the add a cassette.
A few moments later.
So whereas the autoclave, the big autoclave, is steam sterilization at a really high temperature, the Sterrad is a much lower temperature for delicate items using hydrogen peroxide.
So this is a dryer. So anything that's going to go into the Sterrad machines prior to going into there, it goes in here and it'll sit in here for about 20-30 minutes to get totally dry. It cannot have any moisture going into the Sterrad. If it goes into the Sterrad with moisture, it's going to abort the cycle off.
Okay.
So it goes in here and sits.
Basically that means, let's say we have like a laparoscope camera or a camera and light cord come down. It goes through the washer, it gets washed, it comes out here. It can't immediately go into the Sterrad because it's got moisture on it from the washer. So what he's saying is basically we have to put these light cords and camera cords in this dryer here to fully dry them before we box them back up, wrap them up, and place them in the Sterrad.
Yep.
So these are something that you might not think about normally. We think about all the instruments that the hospital owns and that the hospital that we sterilize for the hospital, the instruments that we have. But these are actually vendor instruments as well. These are for like the big ortho cases, neuro cases, stuff like that, where they're putting in a lot of implants. We don't stock all of those types of instruments. Those all come from the vendor themselves. It could be Stryker or whatever the company is. There's tons of different companies out there. But these vendor trays are actually brought in by the reps themselves, and you guys sterilize them down here for the reps, right?
Yes.
So the reps come here. The reps come here. They build their own trays, right?
Yeah. It depends. Some trays are brought in.
Yeah.
So they have to go through the washer prior to being sterilized and processed.
Yeah.
So they go through a washer, but we have vendors that leave their stuff here. So once it is used, then it gets processed, and then the vendor comes in, reassembles it, and then fills out all the paperwork for us to reprocess it from there.
There you go. So there's a lot of vendor trays here. A lot of vendor trays here. Let me show you this. So you can see, just like that, we do a lot of ortho and neuro here. So a lot of these vendors just keep their stuff here to make it easier on them, I guess. In addition to, building trays and building instrument trays and wrapping trays and stuff like that, sometimes we just have single instruments that need to be peel packed. They can be peel packed by heat, which is with one of these, and we can actually place it into our little heater there and seal off the package itself. Or we can use something like this, which is basically like an adhesive type peel pack. And all of these will go into the autoclave as well, or most of these will go into the autoclave as well. Here's one that's finished. You can see it's a double pack. This was all used with heat, and this will go directly onto that cart and go into the autoclave. Now, something that is super common across the board on every single one of these trays, peel packs, Sterrad peel packs, everything that you see down here always has some sort of sterilization indicator, whether it be the tape on the outside or the packaging of the peel pack. There's markers on the back of the peel packs. There's markers on the back of the peel packs which will change color when these go through a sterilization process. All of these markers are in place. Here's a Sterrad marker indicator. All of these things will change color. This one's for the autoclave. All of these things will change color to indicate that it's gone through the sterilization process. And that's everything across the board down here. Alright, so we're finishing up the video here, and I just wanted to touch on kind of like this wall of instruments that we have over here. We have a couple different walls of instruments. We got a bunch of drawers full of forceps, and basically all of these instruments here are backup instruments for when instruments break in the OR, and we put our repair tags on them, so when they're sent down, they know when they receive the instrumentation that it needs to be repaired, and they'll replace it with something on the wall or a forcep in the drawer. Another thing to touch on are our scissors. Obviously, scissors become dull over time, and we actually have a third-party company that comes out here periodically and sharpens all of our scissors.
You okay?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little tour of the sterile processing department. It's a little loud down here. There's a lot of stuff going on, but I'll see you again in the next video. Bye.